Hi you guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I have a teacher reaction video. You guys know I was a teacher for 12 years and I've worked across all grade levels, elementary, middle, and high school. I've also been administration. I've been a master teacher. I've done a lot in the education space. I'm no longer in education formally, but I still work with athletes and students. And so I still react to these kinds of things because they matter. So if you guys been living under a rock, then maybe you have not heard that a male teacher was fired for letting students take down his hair. So I'm just gonna show you guys what that looks like. And I actually think it's important to look at these stills because of the proximity, right? Okay. So there was this discussion about whether or not it was appropriate, whether or not he should have been fired or not. And I want to talk to you guys from my perspective as a teacher and then my perspective as an administrator. And having worked in schools where this would have been okay. If I'm being 100%, you guys know we keep it a buck over here. I have worked at schools where this would have been okay. And then I've also worked at schools where I know would have been immediate termination. So let's just read this really quickly. It's safe to say that most, if not all, teachers want their students to respect them. Even more of them, whether they admit or not, want to be the cool teacher. If you're reading this and thinking those two words just don't go together, you've probably never had one. But for those of you who know what I'm talking about, having a relatable teacher who is unafraid to talk about the latest trends and always has your back is necessary for a child to feel seen in school. I'm lucky to have had a few. I want to make a note about the cool teacher. You can be cool and never touch your students. Cool teacher here. Cool teacher because I had a nose ring. Okay, I'm just gonna, again, I was a cool teacher. Never had to touch my kids to be cool. Moving on. While many of us have fond memories of teachers who were cool and helpful and needed, there are many examples of teachers who just stay away from children. Unfortunately, some of the parents and critics of TikToker JQ Lee's students have put him in the latter category. In May 2024, JQ shared how his cool teacher reputation was shattered after a video of him interacting with the students went viral. He, not the student, he recorded his female middle school students unbraiding his hair. JQ explained I don't know. Oh, my computer just died. My computer's ghetto. My computer just died. It was full. Anyway, and the point of the video was he was like, oh, it was after school. It wasn't, whatever. He made a bunch of excuses as to why it's okay. So let me talk to you guys about the different kinds of schools. Okay. There are usually two different kinds of schools. There's a school where no one has been sued for inappropriate contact with teachers. There hasn't even been a scandal. And there is a promotion of deep familial-like teacher-student relationships. That's number one. Let me pause this and grab my charger because it's getting dark. Okay, so as I was saying, there's basically two different kinds of schools. The former school, which is, okay, there's almost these weird parent-child sibling relationships with students. I've seen this. Typically in lower income schools where the parents are not around, the school has promoted this idea of being in these, these are like your siblings and they're like your family and you take care of them and all this other stuff. And this is not an excuse. I actually think if I was an administrator, he would be terminated. Let me just say that right off the bat. So because people are like, how could this happen? I'm trying to tell y'all that there are schools where they don't have explicit conversations around what's appropriate behavior and what's not. So I've been at those schools and that's what I'm trying to explain to you is that there's this idea that, we're all a family and you take care of these kids and blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of promoted that you have these really close relationships with your students in order to support them and you know what's going on in their lives. I always felt sick in our staff meetings when our principals, you guys, would say you should know get to know your students. You should know what's going on in their lives. Nah, really, I don't need to know. I've been on the other end of knowing too much information and then having to report information to CPS. No, I don't want to be put in that position. It's actually not, it's out of my scope of practice. But when you have a school like this, some of it's seen as like cute behavior where it's like, oh, they're really cool, they're really tight. Like, nope, not for me. Let me finish reading this article. JQ explained in a voiceover that he had a hair appointment immediately after school and couldn't take down his hair beforehand. Baby, can I tell you? I have had many appointment after school, honey. You know what I did? I took my hair down to my car on the way to the appointment. By myself. Like, I would never think to be like, hey, can you take out my hair? He said he asked 4 of our 5 of over 100 best friends to help him take his hair down to speed up the process in exchange for a pass to leave class 10 minutes early. Okay. This is also where I get, like, when there's an exchange, there's just so much wrong here. Okay, let me organize my thoughts. Number one, someone was talking about the term best friend with teachers. Teachers, I use the term friend when I'm coaching. I'm like, friend, you need to do this. Because like saying boy, girl, like sometimes people are offended. Because when I was younger, I would be like, boy, girl, like I don't know, young man, young lady, sir, ma'am. I still use sir and ma'am. But there's like people will say friend as opposed as to not say hun or something like that. Like I know that that's a thing in the teaching world. I would never call a student my best friend ever in my life. I would never call a student my best friend. And I certainly wouldn't do it on a public platform. But that goes to show you like the dynamic of the school that he's working at. Also, where do they let kids out 10 minutes early? Because you guys like, maybe it's because I'm in California, but we do not let children out early. Any of the schools that I worked at, you've never been able to let a child out early because of the danger, right? Of we are responsible for your child until 3:01 p.m. or 2:56 or whatever the time was. You guys know schools never end at a real time. They always end at like an odd number. So we were responsible until 2:56. So we were not allowed to let kids leave early. So it's also, again, like this article is telling me so much about this school. You're leaving class 10 minutes early and doing what? And going where? Because other schools, you're really not allowed to leave early. You're not allowed to leave until the bell rings unless you don't have a 6th period and you drive and you go home. Okay. And then he made a video about himself getting fired. Let's listen.
Let's go ahead and stir the pot a little, shall we? Last Friday, 10 minutes before dismissal time, I decided to live stream my students helping me take my hair out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing, and people were just making it weird. So of course I had to bring this issue to the big stage. I would like to represent myself in this case, Your Honor, if I may. Number one, for a little context, I had a hair appointment immediately after school, and I needed my hair taken out beforehand. I would have taken it out the night before, but that Friday we had a camera crew coming in to shoot a promotional video, and I was one of the ones being interviewed. So I had to look presentable, so I didn't take my hair out. I didn't have the time to do it all myself, because it would have taken me forever. So naturally I asked about 4 or 5 of my over 100 best friends to assist me in taking my hair out, and they all agreed. Number 2, this was at the end of class. This week we were doing STEM fair presentations. Since it was Friday and all of my students.
Anyway, let's get on to my thoughts. So, number one, as I said, there's that type of school. Now, the other type of school is the school that I worked at last, where they had a scandal. And so when we started the school year, we had a person come in and talk about appropriate ways to interact with students. Should you have to do that? No. I don't think that you should have to do that. But the problem is the way the students are built now, they have a hard time respecting adults. And so a lot of teachers feel this desire to like be their best friend and be cool. And I have to tell you guys, like, I've had my own thoughts on like, there's a certain age I think that you should be allowed to teach high school or middle school. Because I just don't think that young adults, and this is someone who was a young adult, right? When I taught middle school, I was like 24, okay? Just to give you guys context, 24. So my kids were only 10 years younger than me. And I do think that there's something amiss there. But at these schools, when they had a scandal, there are people who come in and very specifically talk to you about what is inappropriate and what is not. My guess is that this guy did not get that lecture at the beginning of the school year, because I think he's at the kind of school that I was telling you guys about before, where it's like, oh, get to know your students, stay in contact with them, be involved in their lives. And I'm here to tell you that you can do that without them ever touching you. But there are no boundaries at these kinds of schools. And some people can think it's overkill, like how much, after a school has had a scandal, they are very, very serious about the slightest indiscretion. People are calling this grooming. I don't know if this is grooming, but because the problem is that this man doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. That, and I don't know if because when something is grooming, their motive is to gain access to these students to be able to take it to the next step. And I don't know that this is what his motive is. So I don't really want to call it grooming, but what I will say is that it was an indiscretion, it was unprofessional, and he should have known better. I mean, to do it, number one, is wrong, but then to post it on social media, like, you didn't think people were going to look at that and go, wow, why are these little girls touching this man's head? I think we just don't have the same moral compasses that we used to have as it relates to teachers and students. We used to value a distance between teachers and students and a sort of professional relationship, sort of college professor-like relationship. And we have sort of taken that back in the name of building relationships and nurturing students. And this is what you get as a result. Because school is no longer just a place where you learn. It's not this professional environment. It is now a place where like you hang out. And this is across the globe. I think this is across the United States, where we're struggling to figure out how to connect with students without blurring that line between friend and adult, right? Friend and teacher. And if you don't have the skill set, or no one's ever taught you the difference between professionalism and being at a child's level, this is what you get. And the fact that the girls agreed to this speaks to the power dynamic, because I'm not so sure they even understand what's wrong with it, right? And they shouldn't have to, right? Because it's the adult's job to maintain the professional relationship. It's the adult's job. I cannot tell you how many teachers I've spoken to who have said, oh yeah, this girl, young lady, has tried to push the boundaries, and I've told her to get out. You got to go. Bye, girl. Have a nice day. But for him, this teacher, not to do that, it's a problem. It's a problem. And there should be training. Now we have to have training, again, because we used to not have to do this, but we have to have training on what is appropriate behavior and what is not. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, my coaches would drive me home. I will never drive a student home. I would never. I just don't want to be caught in a car with you by yourself. I would never. But that was the norm back then, right? But the relationships between students and teachers has changed so much that I don't think it's appropriate at this point. And it doesn't surprise me that he was fired. I wonder how old he is. I do wonder how old he is, just because I wonder about his ability to reflect on this and go, I was wrong. what's even more frightening, you guys, is these comments. Someone said, and they detangled? Oh yeah, they solid. No! Social worker here, you are following all the appropriate boundaries. You are in the open, not alone with one student, and the students are willing to participate. The energy is great. People did not see anything wrong with this. And I gotta be honest, okay? In Black culture, I have to bring this up. In Black culture, like doing hair is not an intimate act. It's not. You just like do it. It almost like, again, when I was talking about earlier, this sisterly, brotherly act, like that's what this feels like to me, but it's inappropriate. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I actually think this is innocent behavior. I really do. And what I mean by that is I don't think there was any ill will, but I don't think they understand the boundaries. He understands professionalism and boundaries. Because I do, you guys, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, that's just Black people. Like, that's just Black, like culturally, yes, it is like what you do. The problem is that it's at a school, in a classroom. I think the fact that it's young ladies and a male, I think there's just so many different factors that requires you to have foresight and forethought to go, maybe this isn't the best idea here. Maybe this isn't the best idea. Yeah, there was one comment that said, this is very inappropriate. And why does everybody think that inappropriate means sexual? Anything can be inappropriate without it being perverse. There should be professional boundaries set for young teens. Exactly. Yeah. And there were teachers commenting that 4 of the students took down their knotless braids in 2 hours. And it was a bonding experience. I think if it's a woman, I do think it's different when it's a woman. There's just so much to think about. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I think it's different if it's a woman. I will tell you guys, I had it when I was teaching 8th grade. There was like one Black girl in the school, and she was graduation, and she goes, not Coach Joe. She called, Miss G, can you bring your curling iron and your flat iron for me so I can do my hair in the classroom? And I think I ended up helping her. It was so long ago. So I think it changes things when it's male and female, and not for the sexual piece. I just think again, we have to look at optics, and you have to understand how it looks optically to do this, right? This is 1000% inappropriate. Male to female doesn't matter. You are a professional. This is a profession, and this is not professional behaviors. And then he goes, I don't have boundaries because I let my students showcase their talent by taking my hair out. It doesn't require talent to take a hair out. This is the comment right here. A grown man shouldn't be asking for kids for help with anything. This is actually something that I've started to tell my athletes and my female students. There is nothing that a grown man ever needs from you. Another comment. All it takes is one student to say you made them feel uncomfortable and your whole certification is gone. It's not worth it. And this is one of the comments right here too. Understanding, like, not putting yourself in a position to be even lied on. That's part of professionalism, right? I'm so sorry it took me a long time to get here. I was talking about a bunch of other stuff, but that is problematic. Like, that you don't have the foresight to go, this could look really bad if I posted it, or this could look really bad if someone found out about this, or this could look really bad if one of these girls turned on me because I didn't give her a right grade, right? Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, that foresight is what constitutes a professional. Let's read some more of these comments. Inappropriate in my view. Maybe their parents don't want their daughters taking a man's hair out. Honestly, they don't know if you have any scalp or hair issues. Yeah, it would have been hot. This one says, I'm a young caseworker and I have to set strict boundaries with my kid. It's all fun and games now, but it gets messy. And that's the point, is that this could have easily gone south. And it actually did, because it was posted on social media. It could have easily gone south. And that's something that I tell, when I was working in administration, I would tell teachers, there's no reason, do not put yourself in a position where somebody can lie on you. Just do not. Do not put yourself in a position where someone's going to lie on you. And that includes if your children are in your personal space, like, don't do that. That's an immediate timeout, no. And that's something that I started to implement too. I was like, nope, things are getting a little weird here with social media and clout, and nope. I need you guys all 10 feet back. I don't even touch my athletes, really. Like, and we were like, that was like a thing. You hug your coaches, you say thank you. Nope. Back up. Don't touch me, because you never know what someone's going to do when you get on social media. So it's really weird that the comments are so mixed on this. Yeah. Someone said in the UK, you would have been out of order and you'd be fired. Yeah. Oh, someone said, do you have adult besties? Exactly. Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. Someone said, this was not included in your offer letter. Always remain professional at the workplace. Yeah. It's just about professionalism, you guys. I don't think... Now, do I think his teaching license should be revoked and he should never get hired again? I don't. And that's where people are not going to agree with me on this, but I don't. I do think that he needs to go through some strict professional boundaries training and really understand, because the problem is that he doesn't think this is wrong. And I don't know if it's he doesn't think this is wrong because he's one of those, he's a sicko, or if he doesn't think this is wrong because he doesn't understand professional boundaries. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, it's two different things. So anyway, you guys, that's it for this video. I just wanted to share my thoughts. I will talk to you guys later. If you enjoy this, or if you guys, I want to know what you guys think, because as a teacher, you guys can see my thoughts are kind of all over the place. Like, bottom line though, you're getting fired if you're my teacher. I have to send the message also to the other people in the school that this is not okay. Right? Like, yeah, you would be done. You'd be done. And like I said, I don't think it was malicious. I just think he doesn't understand boundaries. All right, you guys, I will talk to you guys later. Leave a comment below if you enjoyed this video and your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.